Welcome to the School Leaders Podcast. My name is Dr. Gastard Harrigan, the podcast for current and emerging school leaders, those who support and supervise them. You will hear from passionate educational leaders who are transforming their schools, communities, and creating positive outcomes for students. I will also share my personal reflections and tips from over 15 years as a school leader. Together, we will talk about how to level up our schools and leadership practices. Hello, welcome to the School Leaders Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Gastard Harrigan. Thank you for making the School Leaders Podcast part of your growth journey. When I took over as a new principal, the school at the time had 2 principals in 5 months. Those principals were forced to retire. The acting principal that was filling in was in until a permanent principal was hired. The school had many challenges. There were bullying complaints, state investigations, challenges and issues facing the school. The school was in the local newspaper, and there was an article sharing and expressing the various challenges and issues facing the school. My first day after I got my keys, I showed up to the school, and one of my APs came in and said, "I am retiring effective today." Within 2 months, my second and last AP, he came in and said he was also retiring. On my first few days on the job, I found out that I had a lot of union grievances waiting for me to address, state and local investigation waiting for me to tackle and address. I had inner fightings. Teachers and staff were passing each other in the hallway and not talking or smiling at each other. Needless to say, I was inheriting a negative, toxic school culture. Students were not learning, and it was also an unsafe learning environment. Fast forward to today, it is a great place to work. Student achievement is at its highest, and we have an effective rating from the state. We moved from 10% to over 90% in graduation rate. We have over 60,000 in grants in partnership with our local city government and local businesses where students are completing paid internships and on-the-job training. The school is also a Florida Positive Behavior Intervention and Support PBIS model school. So today, I will share several tips that I think you can find valuable during your first years as a principal. Before we get too deep in today's episode, I want to encourage our listeners to join the School Leaders Podcast community on Facebook. There, we continue and extend our conversation from the episode. Also, don't forget to check out my website at www.drgharrigan.com. There, you can listen to the podcast, read the monthly blog, and sign up for our monthly newsletter. I would also like to thank all of you who are sharing the podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. Thank you. When you share the podcast, please tag me so I can personally thank you. Take a moment right now to subscribe to the podcast and share this episode with someone. Don't forget to also leave a 5-star rating and a positive comment. When you do so, it helps other listeners to find the podcast. Let's get started. In today's episode, I'm going to share 10 tips for new principals. If you're a new principal, congratulations. I am proud of you, and I know you are excited and ready to lead your school to make it a better learning environment for students. As you start on your first year, or you're a veteran principal, you change buildings, now you're at a new school, consider these tips. Tip number 1, build relationship. I often say relationships are the grease that keeps schools moving toward excellence. It is important as a new principal or new to a school building that you start by building relationship with teachers, build relationship with staff, with the community members, with the community and the stakeholders. You need to take time to get to know your teachers and staff. Oftentimes in real estate, they often say it's all about location, location, location. In leadership, it is all about relationship, relationship, and relationship. So as a principal or a school leader, you must work to build relationship. You must be a relationship builder. Take time to get to know your people and the culture of your school. How can you build relationship as a new principal? I'm going to share how I build relationship during my first few years on the job. Number 1, I took time to meet with every teacher. I met with each and every one of my teachers and staff, took the time to get to know them, get to know a little bit about themselves, if they have kids, a little bit about their family, took time to meet and get to know each and every staff, from the custodian, clerical, to the support staff, and obviously with the teachers. Number 2, I had monthly chew and chat session. Simply, I invited staff to come and eat lunch with me. I provided the food free of charge, but I had 2 rules when I invited them. Number 1, they had to eat something or drink something. Number 2, we were not going to discuss the kids or the school. It was for me to continue to build relationship, forge those connections, and get to know them on a personal level. Number 3, I have and continue to maintain an open door policy. If my door's open, I often tell my staff, you can drop in and talk. Of course, if they would like a little bit more private time, they can also schedule an appointment. Tip number 2, honor the history of your school. You need to learn and honor the rich history of your school. Every school has a history. Learn it and learn to honor it. Find out why things are the way they are. Find out why do they do the things that they do. Naturally, over time, as a principal, you're going to want to make changes to the school. You're going to want to forge new traditions. But it's important that you earn the respect of your staff in the short term, so that way you could gain and be able to influence them in the long term. So it's important that you take time and learn the history of your school. Tip number 3, ask lots of questions. You need to ask a lot of questions. You need to find out why certain things are being done the way they are being done. Why do we do the things that we do? Before you change things, you need to find out why things are being done the way they are being done. Find out why do they do things the way they do it. Obviously, it goes without saying that you should talk less and do more listening. It's important that you talk less and you listen. Listen, not necessarily agree with why things are the way they are, but ask lots of questions, listen, and learn. As a new principal or new to a school, one of the best things you can do is to listen. The building is full of experts. Engage their knowledge and ask questions. You should also take time to talk to students to find out what do they like about the school. What do they find enjoyable? What are the things that they enjoy, they love to do? And perhaps in those dialogue, you can also find out what is it that they would like for you to bring on, add, or things they would like to do. Because kids, if you ask them, they will tell you the truth. You just need to be ready to listen. Tip number 4, be visible. It is important that teachers, staff, and students see you around the school. You cannot ask good questions and lots of questions if you are not walking around to see things for yourself. Nothing wrong with asking your assistant principals, asking your teacher leaders, but it's important that you are visible. It is critical that teachers and students see you around the school. It is often said that visibility is credibility. Again, let me say that for you. Visibility is credibility. You are able to speak with more confidence when you can refer to things that you have seen for yourself. Always be out in front of the school when students arrive and be there when they leave. Make time to go visit the playground at recess and play hoop with the kids, or during PE and just shoot a couple of basketball. Go on the field, play for a few minutes with the kids. Walk around, chat with kids during lunch, in the morning, in the afternoon. Get to know the students. Make sure you are visible. Also make time to go to their competitions, to go to their game outside of school. You may not be able to attend every single one of them, but you want to be there so often that they see you and they know you are supporting them. Ask students questions during your classroom walkthroughs. Read to students. Go into classes and read to them. And also have them read to you. What's important is that every single day you let students know that they are the most important part of your school life. So it's important that you are visible, that parents, staff, students see you visible across and around the school. Tip number 5, make time to visit classroom. Take time to visit classroom, not only when you are evaluating teachers, but go and visit classroom when there are student presentation, when students are presenting their projects. You should also visit the classroom or periods where teachers are struggling. So that way you could see for yourself and you are able to provide them with support, because it's all about support. Do not forget to visit your best teachers' classes and capture exemplary instructions that are taking place. And so that way later on, you could also capitalize on their expertise for them to lead teacher-led PDs or sharing of best practice. How can you move the school forward if you do not see firsthand what is taking place in the classroom? So make time to visit the classroom. It's easy to get stuck in the office, answering emails, answering mandates, answering different things in the office. There's time for that, but make sure you prioritize and you schedule time to visit the classroom. Tip number 6, don't make major changes. Don't make major changes unless it's about safety and security. You're on your first year as a principal or you are new to the school. You want to get to know the teachers and staff. You want to get to know teachers and staff strength before you begin moving and shifting things around. You want to know the formal and the informal leaders in the school. You need to know who everyone goes to for answer. You need to get to know the culture of the school and other for you to be able to make the right decision, and so that you could also know what to leave alone and what to change right now, what to change later. You want to know what is going on. You want to know what is working, what is not working. Again, it's important that you first build relationship, ask lots of questions, and then make changes. I remember my first year as a principal. The school I was at the time had a routine that during dismissal, they would dismiss the kids in large group to go to the cafeteria, to go to the media center, and to go to large areas. And from there, kids would be dismissed for their bus. But what was happening was that kids were missing their buses because of those large transitions toward the end of the day. Kids were fighting. There were a lot of problems that were happening. Students were being hurt. Teachers were even getting hurt because during those fights, as teachers were trying to break up those fights, people were getting hurt. So I began to ask questions. I began to find out again, why do we do the things that we do? And come to find out as I ask questions, as I speak to teachers individually, come to find out most teachers didn't really like that process, and no one really also knew why they were doing it the way they did. This routine had started years and decades ago, and it had just continued. So I brought together the teachers and staff. We discussed the pros and cons, and we decided to change it. I changed it after I went around asking questions, and then we changed it. But the main reason why we changed it was mainly for safety and security. So make sure as you don't make major changes, but if you have to make some changes due to safety and security concern, you engage the staff, the teachers, you bringing them into the dialogue, and you making those things for safety and security. Tip number 7, identify the major players and support them. Get to know the major players in your school and forge a positive relationship with them. It's important as a new principal or new to a building that you get to know both your formal and informal leaders. So that way you begin to build those positive relationships. You begin to build those relationships and get to know them a little bit more. Also, find those teachers with passion. Those that have a hunger for knowledge and ability to take measured risks, and give them the support that they need to implement whatever initiative, whatever ideas that they have. Try to get to know them and support them. Sometimes the best support is your confirming word. So take time to identify the major players in your school and support them. Tip number 8, keep your director or superintendent in the loop. Earning the trust of your director, regional superintendent, or superintendent is crucial in your first year as a principal. If you make a mistake, admit it to your boss long before the public or the press find out. As one of my director once told me, I don't like surprises. Your boss, your director, your regional superintendent, or your superintendent do not like surprises. So if something happened, communicate with them, let them know. Communicate often and regularly with your supervisor, director, or superintendent. Tip number 9, communicate regularly with your staff, parents, and stakeholders. As blood is to the body, so is communication to a relationship. As blood is to the body, so is communication to a relationship. It is vital that you communicate regularly and consistently. For me, the way I communicate with my staff is that I have a weekly newsletter. This weekly newsletter captures the previous week activities, events. I include pictures. I include a thank you section, birthdays. I include a lot of things in there that would interest teachers. Also, I share articles, videos that would help, that they can incorporate in their classroom to improve their pedagogy, to improve their classroom. In this weekly letter, I also share my focus and goals on a regular basis. For the parents, students in the larger community, I use a monthly newsletter that I share with parents, with students and shareholders. It gives them and showcase the events, the activity, basically the positive things that are happening in the school. Also, I often post on social media and on our website. I usually make 3 to 5 posts weekly. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what social media you use. To me, what's important is that you are using the platform where most of your parents and students are there, because you don't want to be using a platform where none of your parents or even your students or your community is on there. Find your best method. You can utilize podcasts, videos, blogs, newsletters, and social media. One of the greatest factors in leadership success is communicating one's vision clearly and consistently. And often it takes multiple mediums to reach your goal. Tip number 10, find a mentor and create a support network. No principal is an island. Effective school leaders give a high priority to making connections and engaging with others. The same goes for you. You cannot do this work alone. So it is vital that you find a mentor, find someone you can talk to and share your ideas and share the challenges you are facing and glean from their many years of experience. It is also important to create a network of people or colleagues you can call on to ask questions or even for emotional support. There are times when you cannot go to your director, your regional superintendent, or superintendent. You've got to have somebody to call on. I have a group of colleagues that we have moved up the system with that we meet almost every quarter and during the summer. In fact, we call it the data chat group. In reality, we do not discuss data. We just meet to laugh, chat, and support one another. I have mentors that I meet on and call on a regular basis to share ideas, for support, on different issues or challenges I may be facing. Lastly, it goes without saying, spend time or make time for your family. This job is taxing. Make sure you are rejuvenating, you are resting, take time to breathe, take time to rest, learn to turn off emails when you leave the office. It's very important that you're taking time for yourself and for your family. There you have it. I hope you are able to take away at least one nugget to improve your first year as a new principal or new to a school building. If you know anyone who could benefit from this episode, please share it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me today. Please consider subscribing to the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and a comment, share this episode with a friend, and on social media. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for leadership ideas and tips. Again, thank you for joining me today. Until next time.